I approach Tesla and my investment in a different way than I believe almost everybody in the market. And that's a bold statement, but that most people are looking at the wrong areas to understand if Tesla is doing well or not. If you go back to AI days, they try to explain this to people and people just don't get it.
Tesla and Elon Musk have now confirmed their overarching strategy for vehicles: AI, the Tesla bot, and Robotaxi. And finally, it's all become much clearer how brilliant all of this is. Tesla will continue to make drivable cars using their existing factories and production lines, even adding new models to grow their addressable market with more affordable vehicles. They will then go full force on Robotaxi, showing off screenshots of the ride-hail app, and also said that they expect Optimus to be in a real factory by the end of this year and sold to customers sometime next year. Today, we'll have a conversation with Alex Voigt, a very well-respected Tesla expert and long-term bull. What is it that Tesla bulls need to be aware of? And what is it that Tesla skeptics are not seeing? Welcome, Alex. Thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me back. Pleasure to be here.
So Alex, one of the things that I really respect about you is that you've had a very strong conviction. I'd like to find out, what is your Tesla's investment thesis? What is it that you saw in Tesla? And that we've seen so many bulls of Tesla who really believed it, but then they fell off the wayside just a few months ago, 6 years, a year ago, when they started seeing, oh, Tesla's a car company. I don't see earnings growing next year. But you kept saying through all that, that's not what matters. We got to look at the real vision of what Tesla is. Can you tell us a little bit of what is it that skeptics are not seeing, and what is it that you see?
So yeah, I can try to explain that. I think the main part is that I approach Tesla and my investment in a different way than I believe almost everybody in the market. And that's a bold statement, but I like to explain that. So if you listen here, you probably have seen my tweets on X or seen videos or articles or you name it. And yes, I go out there and tell what I think. But in terms of building my own opinion, I'm not listening that much to my outside world as you may believe. So what does that mean? That means, for instance, if you think about the Q1 earnings shareholder deck and the earnings call, these are original, information right from the press, from the mouth of the people who are moving Tesla. And this is information that is extremely valuable because there is no, you can read it in different ways, let's put it like that. But there was nobody who spinned it. There was nobody who was reading it, writing a summary. And I've been reading the summary and got a different impression about what's going to happen here. So to make it short, I'm always going back to the source. I believe that it's critical to do this on your own, alone. So yesterday, I think I wrote a tweet about that I'm usually doing my work throughout the earnings call alone. I've never on any YouTube channel or listened to anybody. I look a little bit at the X tweet, what's going on there, just to catch up here and there a little bit. But usually it's 99% I'm just listening. And I'm listening 2 or 3 times. I listen to it again and again. I read the shareholder deck carefully before I absorb anything out there in the market. And then I start to build my own opinion about what I've heard, what I've read. And around that, I start to think. And sometimes it's good to sleep a night over before I read anything on X or anything out there. And I do that, actually. So I absorb all information. I sleep a night over. We all know that the brain works while you sleep. And the next morning, a lot of things are much clearer to me. I just see, I believe, a lot what other people really don't, or where they got a different impression. And I believe this has to do that they are just listening to too many people having very quick conclusions and opinions and thoughts about stuff, they didn't really think through to the end. So that's how I start to analyze. And as you said, Herbert, there was a time of uncertainty before the Q1 earnings call. And obviously, this is impacting me too. So I'm thinking about, Am I right? Am I wrong? And I'm going back to the source again. I'm listening, and I'm trying to understand and building a picture of what's going on with Tesla and what's going on with the other automakers and where we are heading to. And the last earnings call proved me right. I mean, if you go back to my tweets before, I've been saying that the earnings per share, for instance, is, from my perspective, one of the most unimportant KPIs for Tesla to understand, what the company is doing and where they are heading right now. And if you listen carefully to Elon Musk, and I really would, encourage everybody to do it, you pick up the real essence, what is important. And that gives me some, basis of the future, simply because I believe what he's saying. There are people out there who don't, and that's fine. But if you don't believe the CEO of the company you invested in, don't invest. It doesn't make any sense if you believe it's a liar. And what I've seen the last month almost, a lot of bulls turned bearish or even left the bull camp entirely. And I believe this has to do that they've been, being triggered by fear, obviously uncertainty and doubt, and they've been amplifying it under each other in a bubble. And then all of a sudden they turn in a direction that's negative. In terms of Tesla, we should differentiate between short-term and long-term investors all the time. And I'm definitely, after 10 years now invested, I'm a long-term investor, no doubt. However, sooner or later, I also would like to, sell shares and have some cash and do this or do that with it. Sure. So, however, there is times when you buy, there are times when you need to be patient, and there are times when you sell. And right now we are in a time where you have to be very patient, because the best is still to come. I mean, we are not even in the beginning to the story of Tesla and where they're developing into. And again, if you listen carefully, you understand that the company is just starting to unfold the real value they have in there by laying out the business units they need to create the leverage they're looking for. It's in the early days. And I think that the confusion in the market sometimes between short-term and long-term investors. So short-term investors, sure, they want to get, their profit tomorrow, or the day after, or a week after, you name it. But that's not my business. Therefore, there's not really a point to discuss anything with these people, simply because their objective is so different compared to mine. And short term, I have no clue what's happening to the Tesla share short term. I would be surprised if anybody has. But long term, I'm really very certain where the company is going to. Therefore, I can be very relaxed and can look forward to the things to happen that I'm looking for. And I'm looking definitely for Tesla transforming into an artificial intelligence company. Actually, it's already today, but people don't see it in the products yet. And everybody is still considering Tesla as an automotive company, which they aren't. It's a vessel. The vehicle is just a vessel for the software they are selling in terms of artificial intelligence in different areas. And the same is true for the Optimus bot that is going to happen too, and sooner as we expected. So that's my basis. I believe that there is a tremendous value, in particular in full self-driving autonomous vehicles. Nobody should make any mistakes here. The vehicles are just the vessels to unfold that. And Tesla is increasing production and lowering costs, as we've heard in the earnings call, on a level nobody has seen before. I mean, think about it. The existing production lines for the vehicles are going to have a 50% increased output, which is incredible, bringing Tesla to 3 million vehicles capacity in a year. And that is just amazing with the same capex. So I believe what we see is that costs go further down, and we've seen it already in the Q1 numbers, that, without Cybertruck ramp and without the, new Model 3 in Fremont and the cost associated, Tesla would have been on the same or higher margin, which is amazing considering all the challenges they had. So we see a company that is continuously reducing costs and in that challenging environment making good money. The Q1 is a seasonal bad quarter. We all know that. And it was a little bit like the perfect storm for Tesla in Q1. And it's not the only company who is having challenges in this environment. But we already know that Q2 will be better. And because not only the auto business is going to do better, the Tesla has a very good transparency in the future for the Tesla energy business with record margins in Q1. Nobody talks about that. The capacity and the output is going to double. They talk about 75%, but if you're listening, they are going from 20 gigawatt hours to 40 gigawatt hours end of this year. So that will have a huge impact and on the entire business. And there are new business lines, coming in here. One is full self-driving already happening today, and we hear that from today, from a tweet from Elon, that they are rolling this out to new countries now, which will create new, revenue and profits, very high profits, 95% margin, amazing profits for the company. Credits coming in because the entire automotive industry is stepping back into hybrids, which is a big strategic mistake. It will make them very vulnerable in the future in terms of the transition to electric vehicles. So if I add all of that together, Tesla is in a better position than they've ever been before. And I'm pretty relaxed about where they are going, what they are doing. So I see that the management is setting actions, tasks, measures that are not very popular, like, cutting the workforce by 10%. Which is not a popular thing to do, but it's the right thing to do. And Tesla is doing the right thing in order to be extremely profitable in the future and growing into a position, and they're already there, where actually nobody can compete against them. It's just amazing what's happening there. But I totally understand that people are nervous. Stock went down for a long period of time, sideways or down. There's a lot of FUD in the market. And it's not easy to stay course. In particular, if you have a lot of people around you whispering in your ear how bad Tesla is doing, and which is true actually. The stock is the worst in the S&P 500 this year, and before the Q1 numbers came out, it looked like it's going to fall further down. That didn't happen, but. And I'm closing with that. I still don't believe that anybody really understands Tesla in terms of the future opportunities that we have here. Why the stock in the last days went up a little, I think it's mainly because people believe that the new models are exactly that what some analysts and institutional investors wanted to hear, that there are new vehicle models coming out. But, the Tesla story is really a different one.
Yeah. I appreciate what you just said there, because that is exactly correct, right? So you said earlier that you should first listen to the source, which is Tesla themselves. And if you do that, what have we heard, right? At very, very beginning, Elon, long time ago, said that we need to create the best car, not just the best EV, but the best car. And then two, you have to have autonomy. So there's this transition, a global transition to electric vehicles, but there's a transition to autonomy as well. And if you didn't have those two, you don't have a business. Because if you did an electric vehicle, others might catch up and so forth. So he's already known before he even started this whole thing that was his goal. And then he was saying that we're a robotics AI company. And people, they go, yeah, sure, those are call options. One day bots will hear. Maybe never in my lifetime, maybe 5 years. One day AI will be here. Never. But if you look at where Tesla's spending their money, like you said, the layoffs, it's because they're saving $1 billion a year, but now they're spending $2 billion this quarter in AI and in training compute. And so where they're spending the money, look at the source, listen carefully. I love that. I think the difference is that I personally am not smart enough, and so I want to talk to experts. But what you are saying is be careful who you're listening to. because you're easily sidetracked if you listen to people who are saying earnings per share is what matters next year. And, they're not going to create cars anymore. They're not advertising. Not that I'm against advertising. They should absolutely advertise, but it's like they're just redirecting their efforts into these things about why is the price going down when what is Tesla has said all along is that our goal is to accelerate sustainable energy. Our goal is to have the least, to have the lowest cost. You need to at least be the same price point as ICE cars, and if not better. And then the more cars out there that are both electric and now autonomous, that's how you're going to get to sustainable energy. And that's the killer. Nobody believed that it was going to happen. So this is great. I just think that last week was an amazing event because it crystallized it for everyone. Those who are short-term, they saw that there's going to be new models that are affordable, built off of the existing lines, which is brilliant. And then they're going to be the new Robotaxi built off the full people are saying, why are you not investing in these factories? Well, there's a reason why they have not expanded those factories. They can just take the existing factories for the drivable cars, and then they'll invest in the big factories for the autonomous cars. So tell me what you're thinking about, the factories and their building, and then Robotaxi. Just start off with, I know you're very close to what's happening in Germany. So why do you think they've not yet kicked off? Why is there a delay in Mexico? And what is their focus on the factories? And then, tell me about Robotaxi.
So, there is no hiding. There's been challenges in the market, in the automotive industry, and the challenges also impacted Tesla in terms of demand and supply. So, no question. But the main issue Tesla had has been supply oriented and also regional supply demand match. So supply chain management is a matter where I've been active in more than 20 years, and it's a very complex thing indeed to understand. People reading way too much out of inventories going up and inventories going down. Just as a statement here that everybody hopefully is listening to. It has really a lot to do to be able to have the right product in the right market where you have the buyers who are wanting them. And Tesla obviously has seen that, interest rate went up in an unprecedented way. So therefore, they've been careful with spending a lot of money for CapEx for building vehicles in new factories for a variety of reasons. One is it takes a long time to build a completely new factory from scratch, even if it's in China. In particular, if it's in Germany, but also in other countries, it takes a long time. You have a lot of hurdles and challenges to overcome. Secondly, and you mentioned that, Herbert, Tesla, Q1 was a bombshell because they've been telling us that they can be way more efficient in the existing lines by producing new models on them, although it's going to be the unbox process, which is incredible. I'm not sure how they're going to do that yet, so that's going to be exciting to see. But we know that this is not empty talk. If Elon is telling something like that, he knows how he wants to do it, which would mean there is a lot of less CapEx to spend on infrastructure to build vehicles, and they have more money then on more cash to be spent on AI. And we see it. Doubling the compute power in a quarter is just crazy. It's incredible. And this shows where the focus points are, and the focus is artificial intelligence. So although I'm excited about the new models and the RoboCab or Robotaxi or Cybercab or however you want to call it, and the cheaper, low-cost vehicle, we should never forget that the compact car will have way lower margin and profit on it. And in terms of the mission from Tesla, turning the transportation into sustainable transportation, the future, every Robotaxi is way more valuable for accomplishing that mission, more than 5 times more valuable. So therefore, it makes a ton of sense. But I shrug each time AI comes to mind here and robotaxis are called out in these meetings because people just don't get it. You read everywhere that nobody believes that autonomous vehicles will ever become a reality because people just don't understand. Maybe it's because I'm an engineer that I believe I understand how this works and how this is possible to implement. But we see it already in videos. It's there. It's out there. There was a lot of excitement when, full self-driving version 12.3 came out, and we are just, moving better, is going better from here. However, the entire market doesn't see that. They just only look at Tesla as an auto business. And as long as this is happening, as long you're in a good spot as an investor. Why? Because one day the market, the world will wake up and understand that Tesla is an automotive, autonomous vehicle, artificial intelligence company with robotaxis and humanoid robots that they are going to sell. And all of that is happening earlier than expected. The vehicles are going to be launched earlier, about a year earlier, if you are lucky, end of this year, which is amazing. And even the Optimus robot is going to be launched earlier than anybody expected. And Elon said it could be, if everything goes well, sold already end of next year, which is crazy. And, working in a profitable manner, in a productive manner in Tesla Gigafactories end of this year. So if we hear that Tesla is not expanding gigafactories quick, we shouldn't be surprised or call this a negative when we hear at the same time that Tesla is expanding its production and output. And this is what they're doing because this is what efficiency is about. That means you build with less investment, more products in the same facilities, which is amazing, and that's really big positive. So what I'm trying to say is that most people are looking at the wrong areas to understand if Tesla is doing well or not, and this simply has to do with partly certainly that the company is very high tech oriented and software oriented in how they talk and how they express stuff. They expect somehow that a lot of people understand that. But to their defense, if you go back to AI days, they try to explain this to people and people just don't get it. So
Yeah.
I don't want to be in their shoes, regardless what they do, the market doesn't understand it. And Elon, listen to him. It's like a broken record. He's repeating again and again and again that Tesla is no auto company, but an AI company. People don't get it. They don't want to hear it. And again, as long as this is happening as an investor, you're in a sweet spot because one day the market will wake up and then the stock will rise quicker than the two of us can probably imagine. And I'm waiting for that day. It will happen. I have no doubt
It's
about
going to
that.
happen soon. Yeah, what we hear from every time I've interviewed an analyst or these other people who are more short-term focused, they're always saying, "Oh well, and you can say AI all day, but until I actually see actual revenue that I can put in my spreadsheet, then it's not something we would count." But I think that it boils down to, do you believe? I like the way you said that, right? Which is Tesla is actually an AI software company that happens to be building a robot that happens to be a vehicle right now, but they see it as a robot. Everybody thinks it's a car, right? And they're going to make a smart car. Everybody thinks it's just a regular car that everybody's selling, competing. There's all these competitors out there. So it's whether or not you believe that Elon and Tesla is doing what they say. Why do you think that people don't believe him? The one that they point out to is the 5 years of every year Robotaxi is going to be here next year. I see it, and that I think ruined or damaged his credibility. He's late, but it's like the joke, right? He's late, but it's the impossible, right? It used to be like people are like, I just saw today, it's hilarious. Somebody said in the earnings call, Elon said that a bot will be sold to customers next year, and the guy replied, "Ha ha, next year, suckers. It'll be the year after that or longer." And I'm like, Are you not aware that just a year ago you said it will never happen in your lifetime, or it'll happen 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and now you're like hitting somebody for a humanoid robot that's going to be general purpose to be actually physically working, that the $44 trillion market is going to be delayed by 1, 2, 3 years. It's actually real now versus not being real before. Anyways, do you know what I mean? Like,
Yep,
it's
sure.
because of credibility. So what do you think that they've lost credibility, Tesla and Elon?
Let me go back to what you've said in the beginning, which is often repeated, and I think nobody changed that paradigm, and I would like to do that, which is I'm going to count as an analyst, full self-driving or artificial intelligence when the revenue is coming in.
Mm-hmm.
So my answer to them would be, okay, I understand that. So that would mean that all new revenue from the auto business that is coming in, you don't put into your spreadsheet because the cars are not real, right?
They're not sold yet.
They're not sold. I mean, it's not real. And then they would probably say, well, but that's still in a car. And we've seen that Tesla is able to produce the cars. So I have confidence that the new models will be sellable and there will be revenue. And therefore, I put them into my spreadsheet. And my answer would be, okay, so let's look at full self-driving. There's revenue coming in from 900,000 people in North America using that system, partly more than 90% a day. And the revenue is coming not only in, the group of people using it is expanding. So explain to me why, if the revenue is coming in, and in the future it will be more revenue from more people because Tesla is selling more cars, you don't put that into your spreadsheet. So explain this to me. And I believe, we should challenge that paradigm that people just don't believe and they don't want to do it because, and I believe they don't do it because nobody's doing it. The analyst community is a very special group of people. And I've put a tweet out there also from Kathy Wood saying, what I strongly believe in, that auto analysts shouldn't cover Tesla at all, because not because they are dumb or stupid or not intelligent enough. It's just not their field of expertise. This is not an auto company, period. It looks like an auto company, and the claim is, yeah, but most of the revenue is coming out of the auto business. Yes, that's today, but I'm an investor for the future. And in the future, the majority of the revenue will not come out of the auto business. We see already the growth rate from the Tesla energy business growing way faster than auto. And I think this will accelerate in this year. I mentioned it before. So if that's the case, why would you put an auto analyst on a company where the revenue in the future is coming from Tesla energy, from full self-driving, from software, from other parts of the business like ride-hailing? That's obvious. And Tesla is not, as you said, and I'm coming now to the credibility question. Elon Musk's credibility has been attacked for a very long time, way before he even started with Tesla. I met managers who met Elon Musk when he was looking for map data for one of his first companies he started with.
Zip2.
And yes, and that was a CEO I've been working with later on in a different company. And he mentioned when Elon came in the room, he just didn't believe that. And they didn't sell him anything or give him anything for his business because they just couldn't believe it. And, we can go back and forth. Elon is sometimes late, but everything he promised, he made a reality. So if people saying that they just don't believe him, I understand, but then, don't invest. I mean, what I see is he's on the spectrum. I'm on the spectrum. Maybe that's one of the reasons why I understand him a little bit better. And people who are on the spectrum usually have a hard time lying. I think this is hard to listen to for Tesla Q here, but he may be wrong with his conclusions and what he believes will happen, and he may be too ambitious or, thinking this will happen earlier. But this is said with conviction. He may be wrong here and there, but he's not a liar. He just can't lie very well, which is, by the way, one of the reasons why a lot of people have problems with him. Because people who can't lie very well have a hard time in life. Yeah, a lot of people hate to hear truth, and we all have the small, nitty-gritty detail lies every day to manage our days. This is just normal human behavior. But a lot of people on the spectrum just don't have that. And Elon belongs to that group. So what I believe is there is a misunderstanding of Elon. And obviously the organization he has built with Tesla is kind of a mirror of his personality, which is one of the reasons why they are pretty agile, pretty quick, and pretty cost efficient and never stop improving. When Elon focused now a little bit more on Tesla, coming back and saying now he's going to be the wartime CEO, he put his eyes on the organization. One of the first things he's been seeing is that Tesla has been growing successfully, but like every growing company, there are positions doubled and tripled, and you have people here and there, and it's not clear if we all need these people. And because this is not clear, you fire 10%. I mean, this sounds crazy, but by doing that, you discover which people have been critical, or which, where you can save money, where you probably have to spend more, and reorganize the organization in an efficient manner. I've been working for a software company where we tripled our headcount within, I think, 18 months or so. And all of a sudden, I had 3 managers being responsible for me. And I, in a matrix organization, so it was even more than 3. So I've been asking, who's now managing me? I mean, what is going on here? And I figured out I better do my own thing, and that has been proven to be very successful, without listening too much to people who believe that they manage me. But that's just me. In that organization, you had a lot of overhead that nobody needed, and the company went down from there, and everybody knew it. So someone like Elon moving in and saying, we fire now 20% of the people, would have been the right step. I know it's not popular to say, in particular not here in Germany and in other countries, but you must go through that in order to reorganize a company and move them in the right direction. And we all know that Elon doesn't care his public perception and if people have, belief and if he's showing up in a credible way or not. That is why each earnings call is, we don't know what's happening, right? So it can go totally wrong. Maybe he's insulting some analysts online in front of millions of people. That may happen. But if you're a Tesla investor, you should be aware about that. This guy is not an ordinary person, which is why he's managed achieving what he's achieving. So there are credibility challenges, but these challenges exist in every other company too. And it's just not amplified. It's just not, emphasized much from the media and from the social media and from other people. And Elon is a person who doesn't have any issue with putting himself in the line of fire. Not at all. He doesn't care because he has a mission. He wants to achieve something and he's going for it. And if he wouldn't have a DNA like that, we wouldn't be where we are today, with a solution called FSD that is driving in North America almost on every street. And we just see almost no issue. I've seen one today, but it's amazing. I mean, even if you have interventions, these are usually, it's a little bit too slow here. I want to go there. And you ask yourself, okay, is that more the person who is restless, who wants to see a little bit of different driving behavior? And let's face it, a robotaxi, an autonomous vehicle has a certain way how it's driving. And that's influenced by regulators, that's influenced by the companies defining stuff and the videos that are used to train the system, and the videos are selected, obviously. So who is selecting based on what criteria, what kind of videos? A lot of questions behind, right? However, you have a vehicle, an autonomous vehicle that is driving a certain behavior, but not everybody has that behavior. People are tending, when they drive and they commute to work, to express their personality, how they drive. So Robotaxi doesn't have that. It's just having its own personality, which is pretty much down to earth. A lot of people saying too aggressive, not aggressive enough.
Yeah,
This is just happening. So what I'm trying to say here is it's not 100% clear what the perfect system is. Let's put it like that. People believe it is. I mean, definitely safety, but if you go into different countries, driving behavior is different. So people probably will criticize the system in certain countries, and in other countries they find it great. Giving you one example. Today there was on X a tweet that Mark van Impen, who worked for Rohan, I think. I mean, he's working for Tesla in that environment. I've been in touch with him in the past here in Europe, and he's responsible for regulation, which obviously includes also full self-driving. And there was a tweet which showed that they've been using full self-driving here in Germany with a group of people. I think it's all Tesla employees, but it doesn't matter. The point is, and you've been in Germany, Herbert, you know that. If you go here on the Autobahn, you can drive as fast as you want. I have a Tesla Model S Plaid. I could drive 300 kilometers per hour on that Autobahn, which is crazy. So if you're full self-driving, driving on an Autobahn, and there's a car coming with 300 kilometer per hour from the back, full self-driving probably would struggle because it's a new edge case. It's a new situation it hasn't been in, and it needs to be trained to do that. The culture here in Germany, how you learn driving, is that you always have an eye to your back if you're on Autobahn, because you never know who's coming. So if you're on the left lane, you're extremely careful, and you're only supposed to overtake on the left lane, not in the middle or on the right lane. These are very important rules. If you just don't do that, it gets crazily dangerous all of a sudden. So what I'm trying to say here is culture is different. People behave different countries. So therefore, the system needs to be adjusted, certainly. But I have total confidence that in the way the system is trained with the data, they're going to adjust this very quickly.
That's the whole point, right? They just feed it videos of German drivers on the Autobahn, then they learn that skill. That's the beauty of the model. I like what you said, which is that, you kind of said it at the very beginning, you said it again, which is you yourself need to know what's going on. And I find that the people who don't believe full self-driving or robotaxi is ever going to happen, they've never actually drove it themselves. Right. And there's a difference between watching videos and actually driving it yourself, which I've been doing, and I can see every little tiny little sense. And the part that your mind gets blown is when you are, as a driver, you see a scenario happen, unfold in front of your eyes, and you go, okay, this is why I'm going to do this, because I am a human and I know what's about to happen. And when you see the car, actually, you can see it thinking, you can feel it thinking, because it's just a small movements it's making, similar to what you would do. You know that this thing knows what could happen. And that's the difference between others who are just watching videos and going, oh, it had this, I saw it, it had a disengagement. You got to understand the thing. So what's your feeling about Robotaxi, right? So obviously the mood has changed, and because of 12.3, the mood has changed because of how incredibly fast these progress are. But it just boggles my mind that despite that, there was all these bulls before the earnings call who are like saying it'll never happen. Oh, the favorite one, I've had long debates, which is regulation's going to be a real issue. If it just kills one person, it'll never be able to be there. And do you not know it needs to have 12 nines before you can actually get there, right? So it's like, this is where they're thinking, but they're just, again, saying things without actual facts. that in the US, there's already many states, 30 plus states, where it's already legal to go and operate a robotaxi already today. It's actually default that way. So how do you think that robotaxi is going to roll out? What is the actual program? And then how is your confidence about the possibility that this will happen?
So starting with the last part, I'm totally confident it will happen. Why? Because Tesla is in a better position than ever. They're increasing from the compute from, I think it was 30K H100 to 85K end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen the data coming in through full self-driving number 12, which is amazing. So this is going up, 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 up. More users, more data. So that's a flywheel. And with this data, Tesla can train the system. So why am I confident? So first of all, we've all seen the videos. You've been testing the system. I haven't.
Mm-hmm.
So I just can only absorb the videos, right? But it gives me a good understanding, even if it's just videos. I'm totally convinced if you're sitting in the car, you're gonna be blown away on a different level.
Mm-hmm.
As you said, because you anticipate what you would do in a certain situation, and the car is all of a sudden doing exactly that. And you get the feeling the car has it's a conscious animal.
Yes.
And believe me or not, I've been saying it before. We humans believe consciousness is something which is unique. But at the end of the day, if you think what it really is, like anticipating a certain situation and reacting in the right manner, you realize that it's probably something that computers can call it mimicking or call it copying, I don't know, do in a very similar manner. That's why I believe that people will get a very personal relationship to the robotaxi in the future and to the robot anyway. So my confidence comes from the conclusion that based on the challenges the system still has, I don't see any meaningful reason why you can't train with enough data that situations that the vehicle can comply with it. So I don't see from a hardware nor from the software side any major challenges other than it takes a little bit more time to fix this. So that gives me very strong confidence. And so far, nobody could explain to me why there should be any technical hurdles to overcome. I went even more confident about it when I heard that there are about 4 states in the US where the regulation already allows to bring the car out. Because I've been before very careful around the regulation, knowing that people are sitting there who don't have the understanding what a system probably can do, and the bonus malus system is designed for regulators in the wrong way. They're gonna get a bonus if they don't allow it, because people say, okay, this guy is making sure everything is safe, so I don't trust the systems, therefore it's a good guy, and so he gets a bonus. But that people are dying on the street because accidents haven't been stopped, nobody's talking about that. So which is a malus part. So after I heard that in the US this is possible, and after digging a little bit deeper, there are countries in the world which are a little bit more relaxed with this regulation. If they see enough data, I feel like there's a good path to bring it out there. And Tesla has the data, so they can prove it by the data. And we are getting videos in where accidents are prevented, where human drivers sitting in this car said, I would have had an accident here as a driver because the system was just so fast I couldn't do it. And we already see that the car is looking in all directions simultaneously and understanding the environment in a holistic way. Humans will never be able to do that. And this is not only our 2 eyes. and that goes a little bit back how humans have been developing over time. But we have a different way of perception than a computer system. And actually, we are in that part in a vehicle on the road. We are inferior in many ways. However, people don't like that. It creates fear, and the fear comes from losing control. Humans want to have control in all situations and believe that as long as they have control, they are safe. If humans would know in how many trains they are sitting without a train driver, in how many planes have been without a pilot flying the plane actively, they would be shocked. Because there's kind of this feeling there's no control, and the human always should be in control because humans are the best in that. And that's true in certain edge cases, but for the most part, humans are easily distracted. They are looking on their smartphone, they are thinking about this and that, they have problems, they are emotional, in whatever situation, and they are, simply not the best drivers. And we see this every day on the streets. But from that statement to the statement, I give, responsibility to a system. That's a step. In particular, if it's tight street situations where the reaction time is so small that if you're sitting still in the driver's seat, you couldn't even interfere anymore. And the system is still doing it perfectly well. So it takes time. People will learn that. It's a learning process. I'm convinced it just takes time. So to your question
go ahead. Yeah, I was going to ask
you
what is
question
your
about the model and concept.
Yes. Yeah.
We learned a couple of things throughout the call, right? So really, really good information in terms of, there will be a fleet of robotaxis, and, people who have a Tesla, like us, they can give their car into that fleet as a robotaxi if they want to, and they can define the group of people who are allowed it to use it or not, which I found a great approach, because this is creating all of a sudden a fleet of a lot of robotaxis. I wouldn't give probably my car to everybody because I don't want to wipe off the puke on the back seat. But maybe I'm just losing business by thinking like that. Other people will have a different approach. But what I'm trying to say here is the 6 million Teslas we have on our roads today, which are soon 7, 8, and 10, gonna be a huge pool for Tesla to creating the required coverage in a certain region to make a private car almost obsolete. So I think that's a good approach. I also believe there are still a lot of question marks in terms of pricing, where to start, how to roll it out, how to create an attractive business for the people who are giving their car in addition to what kind of cars Tesla brings out. I'm talking about different models, different form factors in terms of a robotaxi. So there's a lot of open question, and Tesla is the first one going in here, and they're probably making mistakes on the way, which would be normal. So we all should be prepared for, they're trying certain stuff, then they're changing, and then they're adjusting, and then they're moving. So, but I hope that they are going for entire US states first. I also wrote a tweet, I think yesterday, because China is obviously pretty much interested here too. So think about it. China wants to be a tech leader in the world since a long time. For them, it would be a victory if they could start first with full self-driving in China. I mean, that would be amazing, right?
Especially if it's going to change the definition of an automobile, because they wanted to be a big player in auto sales, and so now they are, because they've done a great job breaking into the electric vehicle market. And now they need this. They need to be the first so they can say our cars are smart, and then
Yeah.
that will help them go global.
So what we see is that let's call it the anti-autonomous vehicle world is getting cracks. So Tesla has more and more options how they bring it out there. And even here in Europe, you will find countries who would love to get started, right? I'm a little bit more careful here in Europe and the UNEC countries simply because of the regulation that is out there, and it will take time to adjust that. But as soon as first countries have experience, nobody can say anymore that your robotaxis don't work. We are going to have the data showing, less accidents without any doubt. And people love it very quickly. I mean, they get used to it. It's a learning curve, no question, to give control to that system. But after a while, they are going to learn that they are, saving a ton of time. They are saving a ton of brain capacity, because if you're sitting in a car driving step by step, you can concentrate on other things and you're going to arrive more relaxed. Your life is just better by using it. Some will learn this quicker, others will take a longer period of time. And we are going to have accidents sooner or later too. So we should be aware that some stupid drunken guy is going to crash with a robotaxi. That's going to happen. And everybody will cry wolf and say this is the fault of the robotaxi because it should have avoided that. And probably it wasn't possible in that situation. So I'm just trying to make sure we should measure the success of robotaxis not on having absolutely zero accidents. In particular, if these accidents are happening because of human drivers who are doing stuff nobody could predict it with a certain speed. That will happen sooner or later. And it will be a lot of media coverage, a lot of negativity, but that shouldn't be the end of it.
It won't be. I mean, so I guess I hear people who saying robotaxi will never happen because regulation is so critical. I guess I would ask them, what is the likelihood that 100% of all countries, all cities say no robotaxi? What's the likelihood that maybe 2 cities will say yes this year, 4 cities next year, 20 cities the following year, and like you say, once they've proven in data, then the rest fall? Is that more likely? Is that very unlikely, or is it more likely that 100% of all countries and cities will say no robotaxis this year? You know what I mean? So that people are thinking that I don't get it. When you say yes, you need regulation, there could be a regulation. In fact, 2 U.S. senators, didn't they just come out and say that they want regulation for choosing which roads autopilot can do? So certainly politicians can come up and make cause issues, but then let's say they succeed. Is it going to be all U.S. or are there going to be some states that will say, no way, I'm going to let you, I want it. There's already folks there. Okay. So that's what you think about Robotaxi. Tell me about the bot. So, you invested in Tesla back to the beginning, your thesis that this is a company that is a robotics AI company. What's your feeling about the bot?
I'm pretty excited about it. I'm not talking that much around it simply because people believe it's science fiction, like autonomous vehicles. And if I talk about AVs, they're already thinking I'm talking science fiction. So I personally don't see it's the same story. I mean, it's a similar software. It's a little bit different in terms of how it's trained.
Exactly.
There are different videos you're going to use. It's different data, maybe more, a different approach. Obviously, different hardware. Different flexibility is required, sensitivity, you name it. Yes, it's different, but it's still not. It's doing the same thing in a different environment, if you like. So, same story. I have no doubt that humanoid robots will happen. We see videos from competitors out there. And that leads to another point, which is competition. Right now in autonomous vehicles, I do not see anybody anywhere, simply because of the data volume, the compute, and all the cars Tesla is already equipped with cameras and the low cost of the vehicle, and you name it. So I don't see anybody coming out there. With humanoid robots, it's a little bit different because it's early on, it's an early market. So you have really interesting looking videos coming out here from humanoid robots really doing great stuff. So no doubt about that. But what people all the time misunderstand is to be successful with a new product in the market doesn't mean that you just have to have a good product. You have to have a ton of cash. You have to have scalability. You have to have talent. You have to have, the ability to roll such a product out to consumers with all that is needed around it. And you have to be able to mass produce it. And I believe most of the videos from the young companies we are seeing are in the early stages. Wish them all the best, but I still believe that Tesla is far ahead here, simply because of the abilities they have to use the ecosystem of the enterprises, of the Musk enterprises, really down to SpaceX. They can use engineers from everywhere in order to make something happen and to bring costs down. If you think about how cheap Tesla is able to produce profitable BEVs, you understand that you just can bring competition in a very difficult situation and still making profit by having the right business model. And I don't see right now that there are other companies who are really in a position to lift something off like Tesla can, which also has to do with the organization. We have this guy on top of it, which, is committed to do something, and then he's going through the weeds to make it happen, regardless what's happening from politicians, from consumers, from you name it. He's just bringing this through, and you don't have that with all other organizations almost everywhere. So that's a unique position. Therefore, I have a very strong conviction that we are going to see at least end of this year Optimus doing simple tasks in gigafactories. I don't see any reason why it shouldn't be possible. With consumers, I think the regulation will come in again. So we will going to see a lot of negativity in the market about it. And let's see how this plays out. But sooner or later, it will be just like we explained around the, robotaxis. You will have countries. Japan is very much used to robots here everywhere, so they are pretty easy going with that stuff. Other countries won't touch it with gloves. So I think we will see a very heterogeneous approach and opening, but it will happen. I have no doubt about that.
So I think people need to understand that the humanoid robot opportunity is $44 trillion of labor that can be that's available. That is 10 times larger than the auto industry. And the auto industry, I just looked it up, 769 automakers in the world. So you can have 7,690 robot companies, and there's probably going to be more. Right. And all of them will be very successful. Now, many of them will die. And so when people say, just like the EV market, there's a lot that tried and a lot failed, but there's a huge difference, right? Which is the margins on a bot is so much more higher, like 10 times higher than a car. But, I'm not saying many of them will die, but it's not like the electric vehicle where so far only 2 have made profit. So my point being that I don't see competition. Even if every single one of these bot videos that we see, if somehow they succeed because they somehow got all the money, they're able to get the scale, they're able to build, the right thing, doesn't mean that Tesla can't just become a $10 trillion company on its own, even if that's the case. So I just don't look at competition. I just don't even look at it at all.
I think it's the same mistake people are making when they compare full self-driving with Waymo or Cruise. Yeah. Because Waymo and Cruise just work in very defined small regions, and a Tesla vehicle works everywhere, period, even on a dirt road. It's just amazing. And that's the difference. The same is true for bots. Yeah. So you're going to have humanoid robots who are doing very specific defined tasks. And they will do that fine, and that's cool, and that's still a big market, and they will grow and prosper and make profit, and cool, good. But this is not what Tesla is doing. Optimus is gonna be a bot who you can use for all and everything. There's gonna be nothing this thing can't do unless a human. I mean, it's everything that a human can do. That thing will be able to do. Period. And that makes a difference. So it's a little bit the AGI thing versus AI.
It's gonna get there. Mm-hmm.
So and that's where the leverage is. This is how Elon thinks about it. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see other bots being successful in certain specific tasks earlier than Optimus. May happen because Elon will take time to make it really to a level that this system is able to do almost all and everything. And in that respect, we also need to see his voting power requests, because there is still a danger out here, and we shouldn't neglect. We should think about that and realize that every technology humankind ever invented has been used for the good and the bad. And the same will happen with bots. I'm sorry, but the same will happen with bots. We will see them on battlefields, and some people will say, great, people don't need to die anymore. But it also enables countries to start conflicts earlier than
and win,
and not having second thoughts about starting military conflicts. So I think we should prepare ourselves. The world is changing, and bots are going to be a part of our world, if we want it or not. It's just the reality.
Yeah. The other advantage that Tesla has in bots that few are talking about, but Elon, again, if you listen to Elon, he keeps repeating it, but few think about it. It's not just the fact that everything is going in favor of Tesla, right? They have the manufacturing ability, they have the AI, they have the autopilot already, the AI that controls it, the training data, they have all that. But they also have the inference chips that are the most efficient inference chips ever. Like NVIDIA doesn't even match their efficiency. And the reason why it's important is because the chips that are in these, these distributed bots in the car and the bots is that the more efficient the chips are, the less energy required. And so your bot, and Tesla happens to be an amazing creator of batteries that are optimized for a small form factor and the chips. So this lets them have much longer, like Tesla's bots will last the whole day versus somebody else's, but let's say 8 hours while everybody else is stuck at 4.
Right.
And more stronger, right? The ability to hold things. We'll see what happens, but that is the promise that they have that no one else has.
It's absolutely true. I mean, the entire wiring system, the computer system in vehicles as well as in Tesla bots is going to be designed for efficiency. Yeah. And efficiency for people is something like cost. It's very boring to think about. But at the end of the day, it means lower price, lower cost, and more productivity. So faster return on investment, more money you make with that thing.
Yep.
And that's the flywheel. And that's amazing. And you're right. And Tesla has this DNA to go full into that and never stop bringing costs down, which will make Optimus affordable for a lot of people. Yeah. While other bots gonna be more expensive, they are, as you said, gonna have lower efficiency. You have to charge them more often, or switch the battery in and out, which is still work and costly. So it's rinse and repeat. I mean, Tesla is doing exactly the same with the bots they've been doing with the auto business or with the megapack business, and that's why I'm confident. I don't see why they shouldn't succeed. Technology is there; it's proven. Development is going faster; it's going exponential, and we all have a challenge to picture what that means. I'm still waiting for full self-driving to find a local maximum, not to develop as before, but it's not happening. And I can't imagine one. And people much smarter than me, like James Duma or others, they just don't see one either. So we will see. And if you combine all of that, of the ability of Tesla to mass manufacture hardware in an unprecedented way, then, some may understand now why I'm extremely confident about Tesla in the future. It can take time, yes, absolutely. But the fact that the market still completely misreads the company right now, still believes this is an automaker.
Yeah.
And our small bubble here, we have some people who understand that, which is great. But that makes me very confident that, it's a fantastic investment. When the stock was above 400, I was thinking to sell. I thought, sell, take some chips off the table, invest in another company. And the first company that came to my mind was Nvidia.
Oh, really?
It was actually also the last company I sold and switched over to Tesla, which I didn't regret because that was before the 700%
Jump.
rally that we've seen. So I thought about, selling, I don't know, 5% or 10% of my stocks and investing somewhere else. And then I was thinking, okay, where to invest? Nvidia was the only one. I didn't do it. Would have been a good deal, but I didn't do it. But beside Nvidia, there was nothing. There was just, in my understanding, nobody really promising, and then we have full self-driving developing very fast and coming soon. We have Optimus. So why should I get my money out here? It doesn't make any sense, even if it's going down 80% again, which happened, right? So I bought a little bit more when we were at 104, and that was the last time I bought. So and now if you look at the chart, we bumped at, I think, 140, which was a support level. So also that looks pretty healthy. Let's see. I mean, we don't know, right, what the future is. All what I understand is that the market doesn't understand Tesla. And that's okay for me, because one day they will realize it. And if it takes time until full self-driving is regulated as autonomous vehicles in first countries like China or Florida or you name it, so be it. That's fine for me. I think we all should have patience and wait. But seriously, I don't think it's going to be very long. Can't imagine. And once that is happening, I hope that there's a kind of a ChatGTP moment coming. In our bubble, we had that moment already, right? So 12.3 created this ChatGTP moment for most people, including me. But outside, I don't see people getting it at all.
Yeah, and the plan B, plan C thing, that even if Robotaxi takes longer for whatever reason happens, nothing's going to slow down the bot, and so the bot will happen in 2-3 years, and it'll be in customers' hands. Let's say 2 years from now, 3 years from now, and then you'll have to put it in your spreadsheet. And once you put it in your spreadsheet, you're going to go, holy cow, 44 trillion. It can't do. If it can do that, it can do all this stuff. You add up all these industries. It's not like one specific industry, one specific task. It's like,
and let's assume even Optimus will come later. You still have the Megapack business, which Tesla knows the orders that are in. This orders takes 12, 24 months to implement, and they have a full order book, and they know this. This is why they're scaling up and building the factory in China, the second one, and I hope for a third soon. So that is great money in the books, and this is going to lift the valuation of Tesla as a company anyway. So
and when all these data centers are built because of AI, they need energy, and then they're going to be even Tesla's energy business is just going to, you can already map this out. If you believe in Nvidia, you listen all the, if you just look at why Google earnings and everybody's beating this just yesterday, is because of their investment in the infrastructure, which is data centers. That's right. So.
It's a flywheel. So, and that's, I think, this holistic understanding of Tesla as an ecosystem of startups that are, accelerating each other. It's people just don't get it, and I understand it. I mean, it takes time, but it will happen. I'm very sure about that. And we haven't even talked about the AWS opportunity. Elon talked about the earnings call, which is another thing which is really exciting. All the compute power driving out there on the streets is kind of unused all the time. So that is Tesla's the only one who can tap this potential, right? So there's no other auto company who is able to connect the computers and use them as whatever inference. Tesla can. So it's another mode, right? So it's amazing.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Alex. Appreciate you sharing your investment thesis, how you think differently than everyone else, how you see all the different businesses in Tesla. Appreciate you share that with all of us. You can follow Alex on X at Alex_A Voigt. That's AVOIGT. There's no H. AVOIGT. And you have a subscription, right? Newsletter subscription.
Yeah, you can subscribe or become a patron if you want to support my work. Yeah. So I'm still publishing on Patreon too. Yeah.
Yeah. What you do is very deep dive research, and people need to recognize that that's a lot. And you have Elon's ear. You often he likes a lot of your stuff too. Thank you so much, Alex. I appreciate your time today. Bye, everybody.
Great to be here. Thank you.
Bye. I've created a website that is the most comprehensive resource for the Tesla investor. Please check it out. Simply go to my website at herbertong.com.